What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello again for the second time in
And-
the same show.
Yeah, the same show. Well, it breaks out, Connor. Remember, we'll get to that in a second. And say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello. I am a little sunburned.
Just a little bit. Just a little sunburn. Gentlemen, today we are reviewing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on this right here, the Two Penny Game Club, which is your monthly video game book club in which me, Connor, and Phil, we all let the big, giant, great wheel of games decide what we play throughout the month. We play that video game in the background, and then we come to you at the beginning of each new month, and we review that game for you, and then rank it amongst the other games in a quest to decide the greatest games of all time. Now, this last time was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Quick facts on Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. It initially released on February 13th, 2014 on the Wii U. We all played the Nintendo Switch version. As of March 2019, the title has sold over 2.25 million units worldwide on the Switch, including 290,000 copies in Japan. In 2022, CESA Games white papers revealed that Nintendo Switch version had sold 4.12 million units as of December 2021. And on the Wii U, which is the score I'm going to pull for this, the Metacritic is at an 83. The Switch version was at an 86. And so, ladies and gentlemen,
And now plus 3 copies sold as of May 1st of 2023.
Now, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Phil, you are our platforming guy. Your background is heavy on the platformers. Me and Connor's background, either more diverse or just play around with different genres entirely. So I'm going to go ahead and have you start us off. What did you think of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze?
Yeah, so I played platformers pretty much my entire life. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, it's a pretty good time. It's a really decent time. Not exactly. I'm more like a. You know what? I don't know why this didn't grab me as much as it did. I feel like it should have, because I really like the satisfaction of going around and collecting all the different things and filling out that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Filling out that list of all the levels that have like the 100% completion. And I'm a completionist. I love that feeling of having everything like a checklist all checked off. I thought it was a good time. I didn't have a great time with it. Maybe that's just because I was so desperately wanting to play other games, namely Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Granted, I did most of my playtime before Tears of the Kingdom came out, but once it did, this game went on the back burner hardcore. Like, it was very hard for me to get back to it. But when I did, it was still fun. I had a good time. I, of course, played Funky Kong, which, as we've discussed on Piggy Bank, apparently is like the easy mode, quote unquote. I still had a great time with it. Funky Kong is probably one of my, just because he's so goofy, probably one of my favorite characters in like the Donkey Kong universe, or like Mario, all that stuff. I love whenever they, like, there's that whole meme when the Mario movie came out saying that, oh, Funky Kong's not in it, but he should be, and they're quote unquote boycotting the Mario movie because Funky Kong's not in it. But anyway. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was a great time. I like it. Also, for me personally, I don't fit into that platformer player where like people hate water levels. I fucking love the underwater levels in this game. I love like floating through, doing all like the spin dashy stuff. I loved it. I also thought like it was beautiful to look at, and the soundtrack that went with the water levels was very, very good. I love like how the soundtrack differentiates depending on like what your environment is. I loved that in this fire level on screen, it's very bombastic and very like, like I love it. But then we get to underwater and it's a lot more peaceful, a lot more like laid back. Like I'm in a different world. I kind of think back to the Donkey video that he made on Tropical Freeze, and it's a really good game. I did a lot of it. I think most of the time I was just playing before bed, just kind of laying back and with my Switch in front of me. I do kind of wish, it does make me wish that I had played it when it first came out. because I know that it would have been a great like travel game, you know, because I did a lot of traveling in the car and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I like the boss fights a lot. I thought that those, for the most part, they were pretty fun. I didn't really like the pufferfish boss. That's probably the only one that I really didn't like. Um, um, I think my favorite was probably, I like the owl boss, and I also liked the three monkey, like the monkey ninja guys. I thought they were fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the feeling of momentum that this game gives you. Like whenever you're on like a decent roll, you can kind of just run through everything. I didn't really do my usual thing, like I was talking about earlier about like completing it. I was kind of just trying to rush through this game, just because I was so desperately trying to get back to Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, I would highly recommend that if you haven't played this game. I think if you'll enter and you like platformers, absolutely spend the ridiculous amount of money that is $60 that Nintendo never puts on sale. But it's a good game, and I think for some people it might be worth the price point. For me personally, I don't know if it necessarily was. But you know, if you like Donkey Kong and you like Donkey Kong Country, have a good time. Play the game.
There we go. Connor, I'm going to jump to you.
Yes, well, it is not worth $60. I would argue it's not even worth $40. Now that makes it seem like, okay,
about that.
This is like a $20 game, a $20 bin game. It's on sale that you should buy. That's not to say it's bad. It's not bad at all. It's not unfun. It's just, in a world where there's so many video games out today, there's so many ones that are you spent way better of time playing. Not only just non-platformers, but platformers as well. Because I should preface this by saying, unlike Phil, who is a big platform player, I am not. I don't hate platformers. I don't, have a disdain for them like I do Sonic, which has been joked on many times about this channel, or enforced because I hate Sonic. But
Enforced.
there's it runs like your typical platformer. I played the game through as Funky Kong. It's the easier way to play the game. As opposed to playing as Donkey Kong, who has his other Kongs helping him out with giving him special abilities, which I played a little bit of, and can clearly tell you it is a lot harder than playing as Funky Kong, but not substantially harder. I contradicted myself. It's harder. To Phil's point earlier, I didn't mind the underwater levels, but that's probably because Funky Kong can breathe underwater. And the way Donkey Kong plays is you have to take bubbles and breathe them in to extend your breath meter, which in this game I did not have to do. Which
just
made
like Sonic.
Exactly, right? But that made it a lot more enjoyable, not having to focus on a function that frankly doesn't really need to be there, because for the most part this game is it plays like your typical platformer. You run and then you jump on the enemies. You can pick up enemies sometimes if you jump on them and they fall on their back and go Wah! And it allows you to traverse the map easier as well. You move through the maps pretty quickly and efficiently, which I find is kind of the more fun way to play platformers, ones that are very fast-paced. And this could get like that at certain points, but for the most part, it plays at a pretty moderate pace. Though there are segments where you just blind through certain segments. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more accurate with your jumping. Vines obviously swinging around that you have to grab onto unless you fall to your death. Though it does have interesting mechanics in play that allow you to kind of curb this. Balloons that either, of course, give you your lives, which are represented by red balloons, or there's green balloons, I believe, prevented you from falling to death, or at least 3 times per balloon that you would buy at the stores that are located around the maps. Because you would go and, it's typical Mario overworld stuff. You would go from, here's this, you go to the world it's in the jungle, and then you have 1, 2, and 2, 2, or whatever the naming convention was for each level. So it really is just kind of came to me as a bog standard platformer that didn't really do anything to stand out, but had good level design. The music was catchy and nice and fun. Certain levels had nice stylistic elements to it, such as the ones that make you black and white because you're silhouetted. It's probably the better way to say it. It's a platformer, so of course it's a pretty simple story of trying to take down the guy who's pushed you out of your home. The bosses were relatively fun. I'm in agreement with Phil once again. The pufferfish was probably the least favorite boss, just because it really was a lot slower paced and took longer to beat. So if you died, I only died once, but I was like, I gotta go through this entire boss fight again. That wasn't even that entertaining to begin with. Though, of course, we had some that were very fun, like the final boss, and notably the 3 monkeys that are doing their monkey stuff, messing with you. It's really just, if you played a platformer, you're not really going to be surprised by anything this game throws at you. And, it was an enjoyable time, but one that I think can be spent doing other things. Not even just in their own video games, but just in life. There's more... way more valuable things you could be spending your time with than playing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, they don't really reinvent the wheel in this game.
They do not.
And that's where I'm at. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Yeah, this game's good. Like it's just like objectively good. It's well made. It's well polished. The level designs are solid. The music's good. I think the boss fights are actually the highlight of the game. It's just that it just never really felt inspired to me. Like, there's not a single level that I can think of that I go, oh, yeah, man, remember that level? That was great. I zoomed through that game, and I got to the end of it, and I went, all right, yeah, I had a solid time, but just not something that I find super memorable. I did play as Donkey Kong the entire way through. So I was playing around with the different Kong mechanics, which were really cool and really fun, and gave you a bit of player agency on how you wanted to tackle each level, in terms of like the bonus ability that the extra Kongs gave you. Diddy extending your jump, Dixie giving you a double jump, and Cranky giving you sort of a pogo stick effect. Each has their pros and cons, and each are useful in different ways. My favorite was probably Dixie Kong or maybe Cranky Kong. Diddy Kong had the least amount of like use for me, but there were still moments where I was like, nah, he works pretty well here as well. Yeah, the boss fights I think are the best part of this game. I really enjoyed the owl one. There's not really any of them that I didn't enjoy except the final boss. I didn't like the final boss at all. I found him very frustrating and very annoying, and really left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth at the end of my playthrough. But overall, do I think it's worth like $60? I don't know about that in today's day and age, but I definitely think it's worth time and money if you have an interest in platformers. If you're sort of more of a if you're more flirtatious with platformers as a genre as I am, where like I like platformers, but they're not something I reach to that often. I think this game is fun and entertaining, but maybe just worth a rental or something. Not necessarily something that you need to like go out and buy like immediately. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a must-play game, but it's not a bad game, and if it's something that like really scratches your itch for platforming, I think, or if you have an itch for a platformer, I think this one will more than suffice. All of its little collectathon mechanics are great, and it's funny, Connor, that you mentioned like the other balloons or just the general like Funky Kong. Was it Funky Kong's shop?
Funky Kong, yep.
Yeah. I did not find any of that useful for me. To me, it was just, all right, just load up on lives and just kind of brute force your way through this game. Because I didn't think the blue balloon to save you from underwater. Yeah, you have to like find bubbles to breathe for Donkey Kong, but it's really not that big of a thing. Like his breath lasts a long time. The vehicle levels I found entertaining. But
I really like the minecart level.
As you see, to me, as soon as the vehicle levels got difficult, or as soon as it took me more than like 3 tries to get through it, I got annoyed. But they're great spectacle, they're cool fun, and I do think they switch up the gameplay in interesting ways. And I like whenever they came on, I was never like, ugh, I don't like this. I was always like, oh, okay, one of these. Underwater levels didn't care for. I'm trying to think of anything else in here overall, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a good game. It's just not a very impactful one.
I must say the better way to play it is Funky Kong, because it's just the Kong powers, they were nice. The ones that I didn't get to do Cranky Kong. He was the only one that I never played enough to unlock, because after playing it for the first time, I really had no interest in putting any more than I had to, because it's just not worth it. But with Funky Kong, like I said, you skirt around the whole bubble system of breathing underwater, which I think makes the underwater joy levels a lot more enjoyable. To the point where I think if they do any more Donkey Kong games, that should just be the standard. Just not having to even think about that, because it's just like.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like the breathing underwater really is not a thing you have to really worry about that much. It was.
That's
it
how
was
it sounds.
over like every once in a while I'd be like, oh, I need a bubble, but like overall, like it wasn't a big deal.
Which is exactly kind of my point. It's just unnecessary. It doesn't add anything to the game. It doesn't take anything away. It's just a roadblock to prevent you from going through the levels a lot more smoothly, which isn't a problem the game has, because it's like I said, it's a platformer, which is to say it's simplistic and fun, but it just makes you go like, okay, yeah, I'm playing a different kind of Mario game. Oh, look, I'm playing as Donkey Kong, though. It's so weird. It's different. It's quirky.
I will also agree with you, Connor. The silhouette levels are awesome.
Yeah, they are nice.
Those were highlights for me as well. But I mean, like overall, like I don't know if I have a lot of critiques for the game. Like, it serves its purpose. It functions. I just don't think it's just not exciting.
Yeah.
It didn't like knock my socks off or like blow me away,
Not that it necessarily had to, but
Right.
like every time I went to pick up the controller, I was never like, oh yeah, I can't. Like I'm excited to get back to it. I guess like I just didn't have like a lot of fun. Like I had an appeasable time, but it just wasn't an exciting time. Like I'm having a more exciting time like replaying Power Wash Simulator for the third time.
Yeah, I think what's kind of sad is, and I wish I didn't feel this way about it, if we weren't doing it for this podcast, I don't know if I would have ever played it.
I certainly wouldn't have finished it if I did start playing it.
Yeah,
it would have been something I kind of dropped.
And
of course, I would
that,
once again never spend $60 on it.
That's another element of it is that games like these with the collectathon elements in which you have to get the Kong letters or find all the coins or all this. Mm-hmm. Inherently, like you would want to go, oh yeah, let me go do all of that. And like if you get to the end of a level and you didn't complete it or whatever, you go, oh, let me replay it then. Let me go find those things. And not once did I ever want to do that. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like,
so maybe it's like there's like just it doesn't feel like there's that much of a reward,
Yeah.
Like there's no carrot on the stick that's like, oh, if you do this, then this will happen. There's none of that. And I think that's the only thing that I would like that I think would improve the experience for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. And it's even like, man, like you're collecting bananas to get lives. Okay, cool. Basic platformer logic. That makes sense. And then it's like, get the coins to go spend in the shop. And I'm like, okay, but the items in the shop aren't useful. Like, I just never need them. And, like, Connor, I'm glad you even figured out how to get the balloons to work, because I bought the balloons and never got them to work. Like, I was just
you have to equip them.
Equip them? Where do you, is it like just in the pause menu or something?
Yeah.
On the
beginning of the mission, at the beginning of the mission and in the pause mission, which you could do whenever, which is kind of strange. It's like, you would think they would make it to where you have to, like, lock it in at the beginning and then, use the resources as you go through the map, but they were just like, yeah, just use them whenever. Screw it. Who cares, right? Do what you want.
That's like some Sonic and the Black Knight shit.
Sonic, God. Sonic's the underlying theme of today's podcast episode, huh?
I'm just saying, like, the way that you say you have to equip stuff, like that there's like almost like loadouts you have to equip in Sonic and the Black Knight. And it's like you get certain abilities that get added on to like this, or like it was the same in Sonic and the Secret Rings too.
Yeah, I'll say I'm not a big fan of the 2.5D art style that a lot of the platformers do nowadays. Like, I much prefer pixel art, or I much prefer just like regular 2D art.
Well,
but I think this is one of the better examples of how it can be done, with the way that they do play with camera and the way that they do play with perspective in certain moments, and you have like almost like set piece moments, like blasting through barrels or running away from monsters, or even fighting bosses in some moments. Like it's really like they take full advantage of perspective and of art style here, which, and again, I think the game looks great. I think the game looks fantastic. There's a lot of really great detail. They do a good job of motivating the challenges of the levels. For example, the one on screen right now is like, all right, we want something to come in and drop in and hit the player if they're moving too slow. How do we do that? Oh, it's a tree getting chopped down by the use of an explosive and something like that. And there's always something like that to kind of like motivate the obstacle, which is appreciated as opposed to just like having the obstacle come in.
Sure.
So like visually the game is great to look at and look through. And I think Donkey Kong himself does play well. Like, I don't know, I kind of expected him to play a little heavier, but like as I got acclimated to the game, I was like, oh no, I'm glad he plays this way. And it was never like, I always knew what I wanted to do, and when I screwed up, I knew why I screwed up. Which, you know, is a key testament. And, you know, I never felt cheap, like, I never felt like there was a cheap level outside of that final boss. I never felt like, oh yeah, I see it now with the inventory. Okay. I never felt like, the game had cheated me out of a life or out of an attempt. I felt like the checkpoints were usually pretty, well placed and well paced. But yeah, it's just, there was just nothing like super exciting about this game. So it either needed to have more dynamic level design, or it needed a better carrot on the stick, like Phil was talking about, or some kind of narrative reasoning or narrative hook to get me pulled in here. Or maybe level design that had more emphasis on replayability, because yeah, every single level I got to the end and I was like, all right, done with that, moving on. Like, I never wanted, there was not a single level that was like, oh yeah, let me replay that. That was a lot of fun.
A roadblock in this game club that we have been creating for ourselves.
A roadblock, you'd say?
Bit of a harsh word. I'm being too harsh.
Yeah, I mean,
Just another number on the game club.
Yeah,
I mean, this was more fun than other games we've played.
Sure. I just don't know. I don't know where I'm placing this is the thing.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get into that conversation then. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, here on the Game Club, we rank we review and also rank every game that we've ever played on the show against each other. The list is as follows. Number 12, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 11, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Number 10, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 9, Resident Evil 4. Number 8, Portal. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Chrono Trigger. Number 5, Dishonored. Number 4, Portal 2. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
I'd like to apologize for all the yawning I've been doing in this. I was at a barbecue and did a lot of swimming and was out in the sun for a while. So
it's a tired boy. He wasted all his energy. So I think,
you guys gotta,
if we're starting the bidding off here, when I was done playing the game, I knew it was gonna be near the bottom of the list. Yeah. And then it was just a matter of like where. I think Resident Evil 4, clearly much more fun, much more entertaining game, much more interesting game from just level design and the different sequences, the different scenarios that they put you in, just makes Resident Evil 4 just so much more entertaining and more fun for me. And so that wasn't even a question. My question was, Batman, Uncharted, Halo, where does Donkey Kong land here? At first, I was thinking above all three. And then as time went on, and I was able to reflect a little more, because I finished this game first, and I finished it quite early. And as I've reflected more on it, it has so little impact, so little presence in my mind, that the other three games, you know, wane on. So I think Halo overall, even though I have a lot of like game design critiques for the first Halo game, I think it's just more fun and more memorable. You know, there are, you know, the tank levels or the warthog level or you know, fighting through the Pillar of Autumn for the first time, or going on a Covenant ship for the first time, or the first time you see the Flood. All these moments stick out in my mind. And in Donkey Kong, the boss fights stick out a little bit, but I already don't remember how each boss fight plays. I know I liked the owl. I know I liked the monkeys. I don't even, who was the first boss? I don't even remember who the first boss was.
It was a seal.
That's right. I remember that now. Okay.
Seal
Thank
and
you
half
for that.
pipe, yeah.
So I think it goes there. Or I think it goes below Halo. And then I read against Uncharted. And I think the characters and the story are more fun and entertaining and engaging. And just a third-person shooter, a third-person action adventure works for me more than a platformer does. And even though Uncharted is bare bones version of that, I think I found it more entertaining than this. And then now I have to sit here and debate against Arkham Asylum. And from there, it's just a matter of which would I'd rather replay. And I think, honestly, I'd rather replay Batman Arkham Asylum. I think its style is more entertaining. Its voice acting carries its narrative. And just the general beat-em-up gameplay of that is more entertaining to me than anything that happened in this game. Even though I still think Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is a good game, worthy of playing, you don't need to rush out. And I think there's a plethora of platforming examples that are better, that are more engaging than this. So for me, after some
and for
time,
a cheaper price point.
and for a cheaper price point, exactly. Shout out Celeste. For me, at this time, in this moment, right now, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is the bottom of the list for me at number 13.
And I have to wholeheartedly agree with you, Tavin. I was kind of running through the same thing where maybe I thought, I was thinking maybe higher than like the new number 11.
Yeah.
Maybe like higher than Uncharted and Arkham Asylum. But then I think back kind of like what you were talking about with just the character of like Nathan Drake and how he kind of it being his debut of onto his franchise there, and while I'm not the biggest fan of Uncharted 1 in comparison to the other games, I think it's an overall more fun time than I had with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And then I already have to disagree. I personally, Arkham Asylum needs, for me, I think Uncharted should be at the bottom of the list and Arkham Asylum needs to be 11. So it has to be, for me, Arkham Asylum is better than Tropical Freeze. So I have to agree that Tropical Freeze goes to the bottom.
Yeah. And I think, wipe my knowledge of every franchise. Halo, Uncharted, Arkham Asylum, Tropical Freeze here. I would reach for every other franchise for a sequel before I would want to play a sequel to this game.
Yeah.
And that's just where I go. Connor, where are you at with this this list here?
Well, I notoriously disliked my time with Batman Arkham Asylum. This one I did not dislike my time. And Uncharted, it was never going above Halo. Never. I can never do that. It'd be an insult to Halo itself. But it was really debate, okay, should it go below or above Uncharted? Because I can't put it below Batman Arkham Asylum. I just can't. I understand it not like on your guys' list. Totally get it. It makes sense being below that game. But I personally really did not like Arkham Asylum. But Uncharted was like, okay, I had a lot of moments in Uncharted where I was like, okay, this sucks. This is not well designed at all. But it wasn't the entire game. I had a lot of moments where I was kind of fun, and for both games, I felt a fatigue when I was coming at the end. I was like, okay, I just want to get done with this game, be over with it. And even though, like I said, the pitfalls were definitely steeper in Uncharted, the first Uncharted, I could see myself going back to play it more than I could Donkey Kong. I don't want to touch this game again. Not to mention, it stole $60 from me.
Such a hard ass. You're
$60.
such a hard ass.
$60 for this? Like, it's not worth $40 even. Not even. Not
No, it's worth 40.
I would pay 40 for this.
I would pay 40.
I paid for the level of game that it was. Arkham Asylum, even though I didn't like it, it makes sense to price that higher than this, and yet it wasn't. So, but more focus on the fact that it was just a monotone experience all the way through. At least Uncharted actually gave me some kind of enjoyment where I was like, wow, this is great. Or at certain moments. And the characters are also very likable. I'm going to have to put this underneath Uncharted, above Batman at the number 11 spot.
Number 12.
It would be number 12.
Is what you were going for.
That's how numbers go, yeah.
Yeah. Which voting it would put it at the new bottom of the list at number 13, which
13.
honestly shocks the hell out of me because I was not expecting that going into this review.
I was thinking it was going to be like towards the middle.
Really?
So
Damn. But
I
it
mean,
was
you
not.
voted it at the bottom.
No. I'm saying I was expecting like going into playing the game. I was like, because I've heard so many great things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Like,
heard.
going into it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna go towards, I don't know, like anywhere between like 6 and 9. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, it's like the list starts getting really interesting above Portal. From Resident Evil, Chrono Trigger, and up. I think those are like awesome games. And maybe even Resident Evil 4 and Portal 1 itself. But everything below Resident Evil 4 specifically, I'm like, these games are cool. These games are nice. These games are fun. But like, even if you add in the historical context of each game, all three, Halo, Uncharted, Arkham Asylum, did more for their respective genres than I think Tropical Freeze does for platforming. And I mean, like, 2014, like, I knew where platformers were at in 2014. Like, this game was okay. Like, this game was good. Like, if you like platformers, I'm sure you enjoyed it. But yeah, it just wasn't that interesting, I don't think. So the new list goes number 13. Yeah. Oh, I don't have to change any of these numbers around. Great. Number 13, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 12, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 11, Uncharted 1. Number 10, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 9, Resident Evil 4. Number 8, Portal. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Chrono Trigger. Number 5, Dishonored. Number 4, Portal 2. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok. Now, gentlemen.
That is the Gameclub list.
Now, oh, this is the wrong wheel. Here we go. Now it's time.
Oh boy.
For one of the most, and me and Connor were having a conversation off mic about this. This is one of my favorite shows that we do. I really like just going around playing random ass games, coming in, talking about it, ranking it, and then figuring out a new one. That all of this is exciting for me. So,
Absolutely.
gentlemen, I went through and I went back last episode and I found out what we had knocked out. So we had knocked out Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which goes into the list this month. We knocked out Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which goes into the list this month. And we knocked out Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Real quickly, are we able to see? I'm on Twitch right now, so I am seeing the wheel. But are we able to see it real time since it's still a little bit delayed? Is that something that's open as an option right now?
Oh, you want? It is not.
If not, it's fine.
It's fine.
So here we go. As always, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we each have the option to veto one game before we spin the wheel, just because we're like, I don't feel like playing that this month or whatever. And so looking through the list, I'm looking through right now. I probably should have decided this earlier. I'm going to go through if anybody has their game for, well, no, I'll leave that in. That's fine. Right now, I'm gonna lean off of, you know what? I'm gonna veto a Red Dead Redemption right now. I'm just not in the mood for a Rockstar game at this moment.
Okay.
Fair.
Connor, Phil, where are you guys at today?
Looking.
I'm thinking I'm gonna veto. It's tough.
It is. A lot of games in this list. 90.
There are.
94? 90. I forget. Does it?
I know what I want.
It doesn't.
Gonna
There are 94 games. in this list.
veto.
What are you thinking, Connor?
Just because I'm fine with the platformers right now. Rayman Legends.
That's fair. That's fair.
Knock out the Rayman. There we go.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say.
Which we back to back the genres Connor doesn't care for, being puzzle games and platformers.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, can we play like something fun,
True.
please?
True. I'm gonna veto.
I liked Portal.
I'm gonna veto Catherine. I don't really want to play Catherine right now.
Good, Phil. Good. Well, I want to play the game. Actually, wait, that's the one puzzle game I'd want to play.
Oh,
Like,
it's so
actually.
good. I love Catherine so much.
It's good. It just I'm not in the mood.
Have you played it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
played it
on
for
hype.
we played it for hype.
Mm-hmm. All those days ago.
Have you ever
we-
played?
Did we make an after the hype for that one, Phil? I think we did. Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
did
did.
because that was like one of your like first like reviews that I was like, oh man, you did great job, good job, Phil. Everybody go watch the after the hype Catherine review. It was real good.
See fledgling Phil become a good boy at
Good
reviews.
boy. So here we go, gentlemen. We're spinning the wheel. We're seeing what's happening. I'm very excited to see what we're going to be playing.
So excited.
Month.
I'm
It's
so
a busy
excited.
month, the month of June for video games and reviews. So keep an eye out for all the new stuff. Oh my God. Okay, gentlemen,
Tavin.
we will be playing Yakuza 0.
Yakuza 0. All right.
Okay. All right. Our first deep dive into the Yakuza franchise here. Has anyone here played a Yakuza game?
Never in my life.
You know, I started Yakuza 0, but I never completed it because it got added to the list. And now I'll have to pick it up.
Gotcha. I tried Yakuza 0 when it came out. I was not prepared for the type of game it is, but I think I am now. And then I played about 20 hours of Yakuza Like a Dragon. Different type of game, but, same stylings and so forth. So I'm excited to dip back into that and experience Yakuza for the first time fully. So very exciting times, very exciting month. Catch us. Let me find the date for that. Let me see. Connor, remind me, what date does Final Fantasy 16 come out? It's the 22nd, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Okay. Which puts a conflict on here.
It does.
So
31 hours in length is what this game apparently is about.
yeah. So I'm gonna reach for, gentlemen. Here's the thing: is it's not fair to Connor to have him, because he's our lead reviewer for Final Fantasy 16. So we can't have him rush through it to get it done by the 25th. I was planning on having it being done on the Final Fantasy 16 on the 2nd, which is now conflicting with the Yakuza 0 date. So we either all say, all right, we got to get through Yakuza 0 before the 25th, or we delay it a week and go the 9th. Is there anything early July that we need to review?
In July.
If anyone can pull up a list for me right now, early July that we need.
Not quite sure.
I think I would rather delay Yakuza a week.
In early July, it doesn't look like it. Let me take another look.
It doesn't seem like all July.
I mean, until
Something
Pikmin
interesting comes
on
out
like
in
the
July.
21st.
I mean,
What does?
Immortals of Avium.
Pikmin on 21st.
We don't need a review for Immortals.
We have Guilt on July 6th. We have The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie on July 7th. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals on July 12th.
Okay.
Exo Primal July 14th. Immortals of Avium the 20th, and then Pikmin 4 the 21st.
Okay. So unless you guys would rather do this on the 25th of June, I vote we just delay the review a week and have it done on the 9th.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially if July's a light month, we can definitely lose the week and still be okay for the first week of August.
Sure.
I think so. So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, join us on July 9th for our review of Yakuza 0. Play along with us and let us know what you thought of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Let us know what you think the state of the list is right now. It's already got some conflicts with all of us. All of us have problems with all of them. Join us on July 9th for Yakuza 0 and let us know what you feel about that. Until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
See ya.
Goodbye.